Hi everyone guys, today we're putting Penti aside and I'm going to show you directly what I did with this little box. Just look at the state this box was in. It was completely covered in mold and I think I found it in the garage. I don't even know what it was doing in the garage. Look at how much mold it had. It's a really cute little wooden box, but I have no idea where I bought it. Who knows? Of course I cleaned it thoroughly with bleach because it was full of mold. Well, I didn't make a video of me cleaning it with bleach, but anyway. Then I applied Sandarak varnish, this one you see here. I still had a bit left in the jar. Basically, Sandarak varnish is a finish that blocks tannins, mold, and everything else. Because since I wanted to paint it, I didn't want the tannins or any mold to come back up. Definitely better not. You can apply it with this flat brush, which you can find on the website. But most importantly, you can also find the Sandarak varnish on the website as a kit. There's actually a kit with Sandarak resin and isopropyl alcohol, and it comes with all the instructions on how to make it at home. The kit costs 14 euros and 90 cents, and it's really convenient because you can make it whenever you want in whatever quantity you need, and then you can apply it. If you use it on raw wood, one coat is enough, but generally Sandarak varnish is very protective and also very insulating, so one coat is almost always enough. You can use it pretty much anywhere. See, I'm even applying it on the metal clasps as well, because Sandarak varnish doesn't just block tannins, it also protects against rust. So if you apply it to metal, you won't get rust showing up when you go to paint it later. It's really handy. I'll leave the website written below. It's MyRestyling.com, so you can check it out and see how it's done. There's even a short video showing the process. As you can see, I'm also applying it directly over the mold. Just make sure to apply it thoroughly wherever you think stains might come through, like tannins or mold. It's really very insulating, so in my opinion, it's a good thing. You can even make it at home, especially since if you buy it, it costs twice as much. So just make it yourself with this kit. It's super easy. You just make it. Let it sit for 24 hours, and the next day you can use it without any problem, and you can make as much as you want. Just make sure to apply it well. By the way, this brush I'm using, a flat brush, you can find it right on the website too. I then decided to apply these decorative moldings that I had made with resin. I didn't record a video of it here because I made them some time ago. If you check, there's a short video showing how to make these resin moldings. And by the way, they come out perfectly. I used the Stamperia molds, which you can find on the website in the section for decorative moldings and molds. I used this resin, which I don't have for sale on the site yet, but it will be available very soon. Anyway, they turn out perfectly, and you can also make them with wood paste. It might be a bit more difficult for those who aren't very handy. In short, making them with paste is a bit more involved, whereas with resin, you just pour it in and it's much easier. Anyway, if you check out the short video, you'll see that they come out absolutely perfect. I glued them on with simple white glue, so it's pretty straightforward. If you glue them right after making them, they're also a bit more flexible, so they adhere even better with the glue. I had made mine a few days earlier. It was a bit harder for me to glue them on because by then they had already hardened quite a bit, but I assure you they turn out absolutely perfect. And the molds from Stamperia are beautiful. They're actually even better than the redesigned molds. So if you want, go check them out on the website in the section for decorative moldings. There are so many of them and they're just fantastic. There are a lot and they're really well finished, truly very, very beautiful. Now I've put together a composition the way I liked it, but of course everyone will make their own. Then, as I previously mentioned, since a significant amount of time had indeed passed, they had become quite hard and rigid, so I carefully glued them on. But I also very securely used some strong adhesive tape because having become so incredibly stiff and no longer truly flexible, it was genuinely hard for them to really properly stick. So I deliberately left them taped for a full 24 hours. And that's it. Just make sure that if you do this, you put the tape everywhere really well. Nothing will happen because resin doesn't react to tape. It doesn't ruin it or anything. So press it down well and make sure all the decorative pieces are firmly attached from one side to the other. The important thing is to press them down well and use plenty of tape, as you can see here. I basically finished a whole roll of tape. Well, not really finished it, but I did use a lot. You can see here. Then I did the same thing on this side too. I took another decorative piece, again one made with the Stamperia mold, which are beautiful, filled it with glue and then put it on the side. So maybe if you have some clamps, it's easier to use those instead of tape. At least you'll use less tape. I don't have any clamps, so I had no choice but to use tape. Now I meticulously tried to attach it, but quite obviously it simply wouldn't stay in place. And well, despite my best efforts, I tried repeatedly, but it just absolutely wouldn't hold securely. So at this point, I've carefully turned the camera around, and here I am diligently putting my beloved trusty tape back on, thoroughly covering the entire area with tape once again. Anyway, if you happen to have some reliable clamps available, it's undoubtedly a much, much easier process. That's the most important takeaway from this whole experience. And we've reached the next day. Basically, I left the tape on for 24 hours so it would stick well. Now let's remove all our tape, take it all off, every last bit. It takes me an hour to get it all off. It's a bit of a struggle because it's really stuck on there. But we remove it all and the decorations have stayed on really well. Now, as you can see, there's a little jar next to me, a green jar, which is the novelty, today's new addition. Basically, it's one of those DIY paints. Now I'll show you, wait, let me finish taking off all this tape first. Let's take it all off on this side too, because I also put the decoration over here. Let's remove everything, there we go. Now I'll show you. I'm going to paint this little box green. This is olive green and it's called Olive. Here it's already prepared. If you go to the website, you'll find the kit to make DIY paint, the kind you make at home. I've already made it, I've already prepared it because the kit includes a sachet and a small bottle, a sachet of powders and a small bottle with an acrylic resin. You prepare it as described in the instructions and it turns out like this. This is the olive green. Make sure to stir it really, really well, just like I did. Now you see how it's applied. It's slightly more liquid than the others, but that's because of the pigments. All right, now I'm going to apply it. Look at how well it covers. I mean, it covers perfectly. If you think about it, this is a homemade paint, not an industrial one. Just look at the coverage. Right now it looks a bit shocking, but if you give it 2 coats and then protect it with wax or Sanderac varnish, whichever you prefer, it really becomes an olive green. You need 2 coats for it to achieve its true olive color. It covers the decorative elements perfectly, even though they're resin and shinier than the raw wood box. Now I'll turn it around so you can get a good look. See, it covers really well. Of course, if you have decorative elements, use circular motions and maybe dab a little to really get into the little crevices. And it really covers perfectly. Look at that beautiful color. It really covers well. Make sure to dab thoroughly, go over it well, and then always smooth it out. If you also use a crisscross brush stroke, it's even better. Now I'll show you, once I've finished covering the decorative elements well, there, smooth it out and use this beautiful crisscross brush stroke, because you know that acrylic-based paints cover better if you use a crisscross motion. Actually, it's only about 20% acrylic since it's an almost completely natural paint, but there is a bit of acrylic, otherwise it wouldn't adhere. And it's really fantastic. That's the main feature of this paint. It's natural. I'm also painting, now I'll show you the side of the little box as well. The coverage is always fantastic. But let's talk about this paint. What kind of paint is it? So first of all, this is a homemade paint because you prepare it yourself. It's made with rice starch, so it's completely natural. I mean, have you ever seen a paint made with rice starch? And I wanted to tell you, please remember, the most important thing is that you need to use it within a month, 2 months at most, unless it's really hot, because it's a natural paint. And if you leave it sitting too long, it could develop mold. So only prepare it when you're sure you'll use it. You can even make just half a packet if you want. 1 packet makes about 500 grams of paint, but you can prepare just half. And there are videos where I show you exactly how to make it. The brush I'm using is a brush that's suitable for this paint. You can also find it on our website, MyRestyling. This is a size 30 brush, because since it's a small box, I chose a slightly smaller brush. And there are also size 50 and 40 brushes. The bristles are quite soft and it's perfect for this paint. It's really the ideal brush. But let's keep talking about this paint because you need to use it within a month, 2 at most, since, as I already mentioned, it's a natural paint made with rice starch. It doesn't contain preservatives, so no isothiazolone, benzothiazole, all those things that are bad for your health and can cause allergic reactions, none of that. This paint doesn't have any of that. MyRestyling paint doesn't contain any elements that could cause you allergies or be harmful. All the ingredients are natural except for a small amount of acrylic resin, which is just to help it adhere. So you need to use it in time because otherwise, since it's natural, it will go bad. It's like when you bake a cake, you have to eat it within a certain time, within a few days, otherwise it goes bad. It's the same with this paint. As I said, it lasts about a month. In winter, it can last even 2 months, and some colors can last up to 3 months because not all pigments are the same. For example, the candy color can last even 3 to 4 months. But please be careful. In short, use it within a short period and only make it when you need it. You buy it, and then when you decide to use it, you prepare it. Now let's paint the inside of the box as well. You can see there's still a bit of mold, but I've sealed it with Sandarak varnish and it covers it perfectly anyway. I'll show you now. You see how well it covers it. I'm sure it won't come out, it won't reappear, because having been sealed with Sandarak, which is an excellent insulator, it won't come back. So, what can I say about these paints? Go to the website. In the DIY paint section, you'll find all these paint kits. At the moment we have 12, so there are lots of colors. They're really, really nice, carefully designed for you. If you don't want to get the kits, though I strongly recommend you do, because everything you need is already inside, but if you don't want to get the kits, just go to the pigments section and buy the little jars of pigments. There are both 1 kilogram and 100 milliliter sizes, and the acrylic resin, which is primal, comes in a 1 kilogram package. You can have fun mixing in all the pigments you want. For the acrylic resin, you also need to add methyl cellulose and rice starch. Of course, we also sell methyl cellulose. As for rice starch, we don't, because you can easily find it at the supermarket. And if you go to the MyRestyling YouTube channel, go check it out, because there are recipes for 3 different colors. On the YouTube channel, you'll find the recipe for warm white, black, and ice white. So you can actually make the paints yourself using the YouTube recipe without having to buy the kits. And if you want the other colors, you can either make them yourself by feel, or you can buy our kit with everything already prepared. Just make it yourself, you know. Plus, it's at a really low price right now because we're in the launch phase. So probably until the end of October, we'll keep it at a really low price. So I recommend getting the kit and giving it a try. Then if you want to make your own colors at home, buy pigments, buy all the necessary stuff, and make them yourself. Now, as you can see, I'm also painting the top part of the little box, and it covers these designs perfectly. These designs, I don't know how they were made, but they're really dark, and you can see that the green covers them beautifully. So I can assure you the coverage is total. Of course, you always need 2 coats, but that's true for all paints. Still, you can see that even with the first coat, it's perfect. So it's fantastic to have a paint you can make at home. You can make it whenever you want, however you want, and use it whenever you want. It doesn't just sit there open for years. It's fantastic, right? Beautiful. And now we've reached the next day. I let it dry, and these paints dry quickly, but I waited a day because I finished late in the evening, so I let it sit overnight and started with the second coat the next day. Now you can see the color is much more olive, because when you apply the second coat, the color really takes on its true shade, the one it's supposed to be. And it'll become even more olive when you apply the wax or the Sandarak varnish, whatever you prefer. It's always better to use a crisscross brush stroke, but for the second coat, a normal brush stroke is fine too, since you've already covered well with the first. But if you can, use the crisscross stroke for the second coat as well. Anyway, the color is perfect now and will become even more intense. After everything had thoroughly dried, I decided to add some beautiful decorations using this particular stencil, which is specifically the pizza stencil, and the lovely gold paste, which is a specialized stencil paste from Stamperia. You can find both the unique pizza stencil and the shimmering gold paste in the dedicated stencil section. first, of course, I carefully put down some tape. If you have it available, you can certainly use the colored tape I'm using right here. You can easily find it at most hardware stores or various DIY shops because colored tape is much lighter and, importantly, won't damage the underlying paint. Then I started applying this stencil paste. As you can clearly see, it's not exactly a pure gold, even though it's officially called gold paste. Let's say it's a bit of a pale gold, but it's quite nice. It's really very shiny. Not exactly a true gold, but it's wonderfully sparkly and possesses a truly unique color. If you want to try it out, it's something you don't often see around very frequently, a gold like this, so you can definitely give it a go. It's very easy to spread, as you can observe. I'm spreading it now, and it's very soft. A really wonderfully soft paste. Even for absolute beginners, it won't smudge because it's just so incredibly soft. These stencils are expertly made of polypropylene, which is a very durable and resilient material, the distinctive blue material you see here, so it's quite hard for the paste to seep underneath. That's precisely why you should consider getting these stencils, because they're really nice and exceptionally well made. I keep going with this paste, and you can see that with this little spatula. It's really quite easy to spread, even if you've never done it before at all. Obviously, I go gently, and you don't necessarily need to go over the same spot 50 times, but if you happen to notice you missed a small spot, just go over it. Don't worry, it absolutely won't smudge. So, after spreading it all completely, I'm basically done with this step. Now I'll show you as I carefully lift it up. It came out almost perfectly. Look, I'll try to zoom in a bit closer for your viewing there. Zooming in, you can clearly see there are no smudges whatsoever, even though I went over it a little bit. I then repositioned the stencil and repeated the whole pattern because this particular pattern is repositionable. They're specifically called pattern stencils, which means you can keep repeating the same design endlessly and continuously. So I reattached the tape and carefully repositioned it. I had a bit of trouble because I was quite close to the embellishments, but as you can see, it still comes out very well. As I was saying earlier, it's a material where the paste doesn't seep underneath, so it turns out well because it's a nice sturdy plastic. So I did the whole thing again, and now I'll show you as I lift it up. It came out almost perfectly. Actually, I'd say absolutely perfect. Look, as I lift it, it's basically perfect, repositioned perfectly. After I finished the stencil, since there were still some empty spots near the embellishments, I took all these little embellishments you see here in my hand, which had unfortunately broken when I made them, and decided to add more. They're all little broken pieces to cover the missing parts. If you go to the website, there are other wonderful ways to make embellishments. Besides resin, there's wood paste, and there are also these which I made with ceramic powder and also with clay. Both the ceramic powder and the clay are water-based, so you can try these materials too. You'll always find them in the embellishment section. They glue on really well. As you can see, I can glue them on, but maybe they're a bit more fragile. So if you don't keep them somewhere safe, they might easily break, as happened to me. So I had a bunch of broken ones and didn't know what to do with them, so I put them all in a little box. And in the end, when I decided to do this project and saw there were some missing, I took them all out and picked the ones that fit best. So basically, I recycled all the broken embellishments. This is recycling too. You can really recycle just about anything for decoration. I'd say they turned out pretty well. They glue on nicely, but always let these materials dry for a full 24 hours. I think they turned out well. I always used white glue. I use Giotto, but any glue is perfectly fine. There are plenty of options. Of course, I repainted all of them. I couldn't possibly leave them white. So I took my lovely olive color and repainted them all, just one coat, because it wasn't hard to paint them at all. Some materials, like the ceramic and clay powder these embellishments were made from, are porous. So one coat of olive was absolutely perfect. And you can see how good they look all painted.
They really look like one big cohesive embellishment, so it's a cute project to make in my personal opinion. Of course, everyone can do as they like, but I think it turned out really cute. Not satisfied with the embellishments, like as if I hadn't put enough, I wanted to add 2 more to the front of the little box. So I took 2 more that I had made a while ago with wood paste. They come out great with wood paste. Look how nice they are. And you only need 1 coat of paint because wood paste is porous and absorbs the color right away, so 1 coat is entirely enough. If you want to see how to make embellishments with wood paste, there's a short video on both YouTube and Facebook where I show you exactly how to make the whole embellishment with the Stamperia mold and wood paste. It takes a bit of skill, but in the end you can definitely do it. Just like when you were kids making things with DAWs, right?
But actually, with this wonderful wood paste, they turn out even better and more beautifully than with dust, in my honest opinion, so it's really not that difficult at all. Go check out the short video because they come out really cute and incredibly well defined. They're truly very nice indeed. Plus, this amazing wood paste is super cheap. You get a whole kilo in the package, and you can always find it readily available in the embellishment section of your favorite craft store. After carefully coloring both of them, I gently heated them with a heat gun, because the truly great and fantastic thing about this particular wood paste is that if you heat it with a heat gun, so if you meticulously make the embellishment first, then patiently leave it for several days to fully harden, and then subsequently heat it with the heat gun, it becomes wonderfully flexible again, so you can glue it on much more easily and precisely. This is absolutely fantastic because DAS unfortunately doesn't become flexible like that at all. As you can clearly see here in the video, it really does become incredibly flexible, and it's much easier to glue it on securely. So all this wood paste, you can always find it readily available where the embellishments are typically located, and I think it costs approximately 12 euros for a full kilo. So it's really quite cheap and affordable. See how incredibly flexible it is. It also glues on pretty easily and without much fuss. Of course, I had already put an embellishment on the front here, so the surface wasn't completely smooth and perfectly flat. And even though it was flexible, I still had a little bit of trouble and difficulty. Now I've loaded it up generously with glue, but it was still a bit tricky and challenging, so I helped myself with the famous and ever-useful tape, especially since I had to carefully reposition it vertically. But if you heat it up, it becomes wonderfully flexible and sticks much better without leaving any unsightly gaps whatsoever. Here I pressed it down a lot and quite firmly, but I quickly realized it didn't fit perfectly because there's the textured stencil underneath, creating an uneven surface, so I wisely used tape. And as always, if you have clamps, that's even better and more efficient, so you don't use up all your precious tape. I don't have any clamps, so I have to rely on tape. Use plenty of tape so it stays firmly in place for at least 24 hours. I did exactly the same on the other side. Maybe you can see it better here because I used a lot more glue. Even though it's not really about the glue itself, it's just because there's the textured stencil underneath making it uneven. But if it had been a perfectly flat surface, and since I heated it, it would have stuck right away and there wouldn't have been any need for tape at all. So here too, I pressed it down well and firmly, then added even more tape, and it should stay securely. I leave it in place for a full 24 hours and it should hold without coming off at all. So that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow with the second and final part. Bye.